I declare these proceedings of the 72nd commencement of Utah Valley University to be in session. Please remain standing for the posting of the colors by the UVU ROTC Color Guard and the National Anthem performed by Lacey Liu from Cedar Hills, Utah, who is graduating tonight with a bachelor's degree in music.
Stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets make way, the bombs bursting in air, gave through the night that our flag was still there. Say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Thank you. Please be seated. Welcome to Utah Valley University's 72nd commencement ceremony. This evening we gather for the culminating event of the academic year, an opportunity to recognize students as well as family members, friends, and our community supporters. We are proud to pay tribute to the dedication and commitment of UVU's 2013 graduating class in completing degrees that span a broad array of scholarly disciplines. This evening, we are honored to be joined by several distinguished guests, including educational and civic leaders from across the state. I will introduce each platform guest and ask them to stand briefly as their names are read. I also ask that we hold our applause until all of the guests have been introduced. With us from the State Board of Regents are Regent Vice Chair Daniel Campbell, Nina Barnes, Wilford Clyde, France Davis, James Evans, who is also Mayor of Orem City, Thomas Levitt, Eric Mickelson, and Marlon Snow. With us from the UVU Board of Trustees are Chair Greg Butterfield, Vice Chair Doyle Mortimer, Second Vice Chair Ronald Hawkins, Karen Acerson, Carolyn Merrill, Terry Shoemaker, Alumni Association President Curtis Morley, Student Body President Chad Workman. With us from the Office of the Commissioner of Higher Education is Commissioner David Buehler. With us from the State Board of Education are Heather Groom, Jennifer Johnson, and Jefferson Moss. From the UVU Cabinet, we have Mark Archambault, Vice President for Development and Alumni, Corey Duckworth, Vice President of Student Affairs, Linda Macon, Chief Planning, Budget, and Policy Officer, Cameron Martin, Vice President for University Relations, Val Peterson, Vice President for Finance and Administration, and Ian Wilson, Vice President for Academic Affairs. The deans joining us this evening are Wayne Dornan, College of Aviation and Public Services, David Yells, College of Humanities and Social Sciences, Associate Dean Daniel Fairbanks, representing the College of Science and Health in place of Dean Sam Rushforth, Ernest Carey, College of Technology and Computing, and K. Newell Daly, School of the Arts, Stan Harward, Interim Dean for the School of Education, Katie Taylor, University College, Norman Wright, Woodbury School of Business, and Bob Rasmussen, Dean of Students. Finally, UVU's tremendous faculty is represented tonight by Faculty Senate President David Conley. UVU is a teaching institution and therefore only as strong as its faculty. The exceptional instruction they provide is a reflection of the institution's commitment to educational excellence. To represent our staff, we have with us on the platform Alexis Palmer, President of the Professional Association of Campus Employees. Our staff members play an integral role in the cultivation of a learning environment that fosters student success. On that note, I would like to ask all UVU faculty and staff here tonight to please rise now and be recognized. We'll now have the opportunity to hear from Chad Workman, President of the UVU Student Association for the 2012-13 academic year. Chad, from Provo, Utah, is a political science major. I tried to warn him away from that, but he didn't listen to me. As president, he's never wavered in his advocacy of and service to his student constituency. During a legislative session in which UVU needed it most, Chad aligned his voice with mine and the others in the quest for increased mission-based funding and the construction of a new classroom building. He took a leading role in urging students to become civically engaged through an on-campus delegate training initiative. He served loyally as the mouthpiece of the student body, even fighting for and achieving, I will note, the reversal of fall break's proposed removal from the academic calendar. And his efforts regularly catalyzed increased communication and involvement among the student body as a whole. It is my pleasure to now invite President Workman to the podium to share his remarks.
I also want to thank President Holland for all of his hard work and devotion that he makes to the success of UVU and to its students. The following story was written by Michael D. Hargrove. While waiting to pick up a friend at the airport in Portland, Oregon, I had one of those life-changing experiences that you hear other people talk about, the kind that sneaks up on you unexpectedly. This one occurred a mere 2 feet away. Straining to locate my friend among the passengers deplaning through the jetway, I noticed the man coming toward me carrying 2 light bags. He stopped right next to me to greet his family. First, he motioned to his youngest son, maybe 6 years old, as he laid down his bags. They gave each other a long, loving hug. As they separated enough to look in each other's face, I heard the father say, "It's so good to see you, son. I missed you so much." His son smiled somewhat shyly, averted his eyes, and replied softly, "Me too, Dad." Then the man stood up, gazed in the eyes of his oldest son, maybe 9 or 10, and while cupping his son's face in his hands, said, "You're already quite the young man. I love you very much." They too hugged a most loving, tender hug. While this was happening, a baby girl was squirming excitedly in her mother's arms, never once taking her little eyes off the wonderful sight of her returning father. The man said, "Hi, baby girl," as he gently took the child from her mother. He quickly kissed her face all over and then held her close to his chest while rocking her from side to side. The little girl instantly relaxed and simply laid her head on his shoulder, motionless in pure contentment. After several moments, he handed his daughter to his oldest son and declared, "I've saved the best for last," and proceeded to give his wife the longest, most passionate kiss I ever remember seeing. He gazed into her eyes for several seconds and then silently mouthed, "I love you so much." They stared at each other's eyes, beaming big smiles one at another while holding both hands. For an instant, they reminded me of newlyweds, but I knew by the age of their kids that they couldn't possibly be. I puzzled about it for a moment, then realized how totally engrossed I was in the wonderful display of unconditional love not more than an arm's length away from me. I suddenly felt uncomfortable, as if I was invading something sacred, but was amazed to hear my own voice nervously ask, "Wow, how long have you two been married?" "Been together 14 years, total, married 12 of those," he replied, without breaking his gaze from his lovely wife's face. "Well then, how long have you been away?" I asked. The man finally turned and looked at me, still beaming his joyous smile. 2 whole days. I was stunned by the intensity of the greeting. I had assumed he had been gone for at least several weeks, if not months. I know my expression betrayed me. I said almost offhandedly, hoping to end my intrusion with some semblance of grace, "I hope my marriage is still that passionate after 12 years. The man suddenly stopped smiling. He looked me straight in the eye, and with forcefulness that burned right into my soul, he told me something that left me a different person. He told me, "Don't hope, friend, decide." Then he flashed me his wonderful smile again, shook my hand, and said, "God bless." I find this story very applicable to our situation as graduates. Decide. Whether it be with our families or our work, we can decide how we manage those important influences in our lives. As we take steps and achieve goals, we are the masters of our own decisions. We as university graduates have the power and the right to create and cultivate our own futures. After all, that is why we obtained an education. Not to conform to some system by going through tedious, agonizing steps, it sometimes feels like, but to obtain the knowledge necessary to accomplish great things in the fields and areas we wish to enter. By taking initiative and becoming the best in what we do, we secure a future for ourselves in which we are needed. As we do that, we will find that we will not spend so much time searching for a job that we can hopefully fit into, but more time trying to create a job that fits into what we desire. Granted, this may not happen now, or even after many of us move on to get our master's degrees, but it will happen if we decide it to. A professor I highly admire once shared a story with our class. He talked about the importance of shaping one's life to fit one's wants and goals, rather than shaping your wants and goals to fit life. As a young boy, one of his teachers desired he write a 2-page paper on a specific topic for an assignment. He went home and moped around because he could have cared less about the theme of the assignment. He told his grandma he didn't want to do it. She responded, "You have to do something for the assignment, even if it's not what she asked. But if you do something different, it has to be above and beyond the original request." After pondering over what he should do, he decided instead to write a 6-page paper about Japan. After all, it was 4 extra pages and covered more information and detail than the original assignment. As he presented it to his professor, she said, "What is this? This is not what I asked you to do." He responded, "I know, but I wasn't interested in the topic you asked, so I did something similar, but better in something I was interested in. I hope I can still get credit." Thankfully, she valued the effort he made and gave him full points. The next semester, I took a different class from that same professor. It was a cross-cultural communication class, and for the final paper, he wanted us to read a book discussing culture in a specific region in the world and write a 10-page paper. I remember the story of his childhood paper on Japan he shared, and decided to do the same since I wasn't interested in the part of the world he wanted us to report on. So, I interviewed 20 Latinos in Utah Valley and did a research paper on how they feel culturally living in a predominantly white area, and so on, and turned in a 20-page paper with the results. He talked to me later and thanked me for taking initiative on his assignment by doing something I thought to be relevant to me and the culture in which we live. Full points. We can decide how we live our lives, whether it be on the back burner slowly going through the motions, or becoming experts in what each of us love to do. By graduating today, we are proving to ourselves that we are making progress to bigger goals, and that we are proactively choosing to decide. Decide now, decide today. Congratulations, class of 2013.
Thank you, Chad. At this point, I would like to call attention to a few more of our exemplary students. Seated on the front row tonight are UVU's valedictorians for 2013. These 14 students, having distinguished themselves through high academic achievement, are selected by their respective college or school, which may name a valedictorian at the baccalaureate or associate degree level, or one of each. You will find in your program more information about these extraordinary individuals. Now I want to introduce them and ask each to stand as I read their names. Once again, please hold your applause until all have been acknowledged. Chelsea Reynolds, who will receive a Bachelor of Science degree in Emergency Services and Administration, and Tanner Ricks, who will receive an Associate of Applied Science degree in Emergency Services, are representing the College of Aviation and Public Services as its inaugural valedictorians. Representing the College of Humanities and Social Sciences are Jacob Fox, who's receiving a Bachelor of Science degree in Behavioral Science, and William Bates, who is receiving an Associate of Science degree in History and Political Science. Sally Hansen, Bachelor of Science in Chemistry, and Barbara Housley, Associate of Science in Nursing, represent the College of Science and Health. Representing the College of Technology and Computing are Angela Roberts, who is receiving a Bachelor of Science degree in Business and Marketing Education, and Mariel Peterson, who is receiving an Associate of Applied Science degree in Diesel Mechanics Technology. From the School of the Arts, we have Jordan Marshall, Bachelor of Science in Art and Visual Communications, and Heidi McPhee, Associate of Science in Dance. Melinda Korologos, who will receive a Bachelor of Science degree in Elementary Education, is representing the School of Education. Kimberly Nelson, who is receiving an Associate of Science in University Studies, is representing University College. Finally, representing the Woodbury School of Business are Taft Morley with a Bachelor of Science degree and Jacob Clark with an Associate of Science degree, both in Business Management. Please join me in a round of applause for our valedictorians and the rest of UVU's outstanding graduates. We're now privileged to hear a few words from Curtis Morley, President of the UVU Alumni Association and a member of the UVU Board of Trustees, who will address this newest generation of UVU alumni. Immediately following Curtis's remarks, the UVU Symphony will perform Thunder and Lightning by Johann Strauss II.
First, let me say congratulations. Congratulations to everyone here on such a great accomplishment. And second, as president of the UVU Alumni Association, let me officially welcome all of you as the newest alumni of UVU. We're very glad to have you join this astute group. You've all made it here because of who you are. Some of you have loved every minute spent here, including your stats class. Others have sacrificed much to be sitting in these seats tonight, working 1 or 2 jobs, fitting in school on nights and weekends. Regardless of the journey that brought you to the seat that you rest in now, you're all looking forward to a new horizon, the horizon of the future. And as you will hear from our commencement speaker, Anousheh, the horizon of tomorrow is an amazing sight to behold. I'm humbled and honored to share the stand tonight with our distinguished guests, who you will have an opportunity to hear later. But I'd like to introduce you to a few other people that aren't seated up here next to me. The first is an entrepreneur. This entrepreneur has beaten the odds. Everyone said he couldn't do it, yet he has done everything necessary to see his dream come true, including the 3 times he had to sell his car on a hard loan to make payroll during the early years of his business. This entrepreneur is creating a revolutionary mobile app that has never been imagined and is changing the way we communicate as a world. Next is a teacher that is known for her ability to love the toughest students with the toughest home life until those students see there's more to the world than the immediate pain around them. She believes in them until they start to believe in themselves. This teacher reaches those that are actively trying to drop out of school and turns them into graduates, not only of high school, but also fine universities like ours. There's a politician here that is making key decisions for our country to help stabilize the United States as the land of the brave and the home of the free. There's an Olympian ready to compete against the world's greatest athletes. And there's several millionaire philanthropists with us that have donated generously back to UVU, and their contributions make it possible for more deserving students like you to get an education. There's a famous author here tonight that if I said her name, everyone would know who I'm talking about. Tonight we also share the UCCU Center with someone that, through nothing more than ingenuity and good old-fashioned grit, has come up with a way to provide sustainable energy and water to thousands of people in Africa and other struggling countries. Now you may be wondering why these people aren't seated here on the stand. The answer is simple. It's because you're sitting in front of me. The only question I have is which of you has the indefatigable drive to beat the odds as an entrepreneur? Which of you is writing 1,000 words a day on your next novel? Which of you is already planning to give back to UVU to help the next generation of students achieve the accomplishment that you're celebrating tonight? Which of you will stop thinking about that great idea, rattling around in your head, and start putting it into action? And which of you will reach those less fortunate and elevate them to a better life? It's not a question of if. Let me assure you, history has proven that UVU and this group of graduating students will arise as thought leaders, successful businessmen and women, celebrated athletes, civic leaders, philanthropists, and even Nobel Peace Prize winners. And hopefully someday soon, we'll have an astronaut in this group. I can promise you this, each of you will be presented with the opportunity to change the world in a meaningful way. And some of you will even make your own opportunities. Regardless, grab hold of that opportunity. No matter how hard it may be, never let it go. Grab hold of it, whether it is a change to a community, a change in a way of thought, change in helping a small child. Grab hold, breathe in the fresh morning air of this new dawn, and lead out into tomorrow with your head held high, knowing you are a UVU Wolverine. Once again, we welcome you as the newest members of the UVU Alumni Association. Thank you.
Thank you, Curtis, for your encouraging words, and to the UVU Symphony for that beautiful music. It's now my privilege to share a few thoughts. Tonight marks a moment of enormous opportunity for this sea of soon-to-be alumni before me. The sight of all of you is nothing short of electrifying. What an absolute thrill it is to see you here with all of that talent and training, ready now in a much more profound way to go take on the world. Some of you, no doubt, are feeling an optimism that borders on the invincible. Good for you, though you might benefit from just a touch more realism, the kind once dished out by a quick-thinking stewardess to Muhammad Ali, the legendary heavyweight boxer and possibly the most self-confident man who ever lived. While preparing to take off on a long flight to an overseas match, Mr. Ali was repeatedly asked to buckle a seatbelt. Upon the third or fourth request, Mr. Ali smugly said, "Superman don't need no seatbelt." To which a smart and impatient flight attendant shot back, got right into his face and said, "Superman don't need no airplane, buckle up." Which he did. We all have our human limits, and determining what those are without letting them unduly hold us back is one of the great keys to wise and successful living. As a quick aside, I will note that I recently learned my own limits in the face of an all-powerful 8-year-old son determined to have a pet dog. For the second time, despite my greatest hopes and wishes and protestations, the Hollands now own a dog. I actually thought I had won this battle on round one when we bought a little puppy that was so obstinate and destructive that even my children understood the night I finally screamed, "That's it. This dog is killing me and wrecking the house. I simply cannot live in this house with that animal. It's going." My kids sat there crushed, striving to keep their emotions in check, until my then 6-year-old son suddenly broke the silence by saying, "Mom, if Dad ever dies, can we get a dog?" At that moment, I knew I had won the first battle, but I was not going to win this war. By the way, round 2 with our new Labradoodle is going much better than round 1, so. Well, back to more serious matters. As we reflect tonight on the path we have walked together, semester after semester, it is only fitting to feel a marvelous pride and enthusiasm over where things are headed for the university and for our 4,682 new graduates, UVU's largest graduating class to date. In many respects, it is impossible to calculate the collective and individual good that will be done by this record-setting class as you step out of these gowns and into lab coats, coveralls, suits, and scrubs in order to build, fix, invent, and heal our tomorrow. Be it at the certificate, associate, bachelor, or master degree levels, the institution and its astounding student body have once again mutually elevated one another beyond expectation. The 2012-2013 academic year saw a demonstrable rise in student and faculty accomplishment, too lengthy to even start to summarize here. We also witnessed UVU's acceptance into the Western Athletic Conference, continued progress on the new Student Life and Wellness Center, and made major gains in the recent legislative session, including funding to address some of our budget inequities and to build a $55 million, 242,000 square foot classroom building. Despite all of that, though, it is not until now, this very minute, here at the end of April, that we can behold the institution's true zenith, honoring thousands of graduates of tremendous caliber and reputation before sending them off into a world that anxiously awaits their contributions. Truly, this is UVU's crowning achievement of the year. So, as this august group steps over the threshold of UVU's safe and supportive environment for learning, I simply leave you with one word of counsel. Shamelessly, I borrow it from a man who on July 4th, 1845, walked into a small self-built hut on land owned by his friend Ralph Waldo Emerson and started a 2-year experiment of simple living near the shores of Walden Pond. In explaining his purpose in doing so, Henry David Thoreau offered a brief manifesto of living well that I find as pertinent as ever. He said, "I went to the woods because I wished to live deliberately, to front only the essential facts of life and see if I could not learn what it had to teach, and not, when I came to die, discover that I had not lived. I did not wish to live what was not life. Living is so dear. Nor did I wish to practice resignation unless it was quite necessary. I wanted to live deep and suck out all the marrow of life, to live so sturdily and Spartan-like as to put to rout all that was not life, to cut a broad swath and shave close, to drive life into a corner and reduce it to its lowest terms, and if it proved to be mean, why then to get the whole and genuine meanness of it and publish its meanness to the world, or if it were sublime, to know it by experience and to be able to give a true account of it in my next excursion." Well, let me be clear. I am not suggesting that the answer for all of you is to take your newfound learning and skills and escape from the world around you into a quiet, wooded life of independence and reflection. In some ways, that is where you've been. Thoreau himself described his time at Walden as being like a, quote, university, unquote, given the time it afforded him to read and think and write extensively. And eventually, even he felt the need to leave his remote existence of self-farming, literary musings, and philosophical explorations. After exactly 2 years, 2 months, and 2 days, he indicated, "I left the woods for as good a reason as I went there. Perhaps it seemed to me that I had several more lives to live and could not spare any more time for that one." The point is not choosing between transcendental escapism or industrial determination. The point is living your life deliberately, and in doing so, to suck the very marrow out of the vibrant and varied opportunities before you, whatever those might be at any given time. To live deliberately is to live intentionally, purposely, meditatively, studiously, resolutely, and thoroughly. And with all of the skills and knowledge implicit in your UVU degree, and with what we hope is now a hard commitment to lifelong learning, you are indeed equipped to so live. The great temptation of your day is that of resignation. From North Korean nukes, to bomb blasts in Boston, to Washington Wall Street woes, the world increasingly beckons a strategy of simple survival in the face of dangerous and impersonal forces larger than you are. Don't you dare give in to that siren song of survival. That is the very opposite of living deliberately. Careful and prudent, yes. Cowardly and passive, never. Remember, however bad things may look to you on any given day, this world, and this country in particular, is still filled with good people, great opportunities, and sublime experiences. Finding and cultivating such, while cutting through the low, the hateful, the dishonest, the cheap, the easy, the destructive, the meaningless, and the seemingly unchangeable, that is deliberate living. That such goodness can and must be found in the midst of such rottenness is hardly exclusive to our contemporary era. One of Thoreau's other great friends, Nathaniel Hawthorne, put it picturesquely in his preface to Mosses from an Old Manse. Speaking of the gorgeous and fragrant white pond lily, Hawthorne writes, "It is a marvel whence this perfect flower derives its loveliness and perfume, springing as it does from the black mud over which the river sleeps, and where lurk the slimy eel and the speckled frog and the mud turtle, whom continual washing cannot cleanse. It is the very same black mud out of which the yellow lily sucks its obscene life and noisome odor. Thus we see too in the world that some persons assimilate only what is ugly and evil from the same moral circumstances which supply good and beautiful results, the fragrance of celestial flowers, to the daily life of others." Ladies and gentlemen, my dear students, whatever else you face in the world around you, there rests before you an array of the most stupendous prospects in terms of the friends and families you will forge, the communities you will lead, the summits you will climb, the downtrodden you will rescue, the art, music, and literature you will relish, and the professional contributions you will make. By a steady commitment to live deep, to live with a careful and deliberate pursuit of these worthwhile goods, you will, in the course of a life, make us, your parents, teachers, and leaders, proud. You will make yourselves successful and satisfied, and you will prove the very purpose of your UVU education. Thank you very much. Trustee Doyle Mortimer and Mrs. Jeanette Hales Beckham, will you please come forward?
On behalf of the UVU Board of Trustees, I am happy to present Jeanette Hales Beckham with an honorary doctorate of humane letters. Few citizens find and embrace as many opportunities to serve their state and community as Mrs. Beckham has in Utah. She has lent her light to countless grateful organizations and individuals, fulfilling with equal devotion and enthusiasm her every role and duty. Among these varied undertakings are tenures as a member of the Utah House of Representatives, as well as the 10th president of the Young Women Organization of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. During Jeanette's 7 years as a trustee at UVU, a post she also held for Brigham Young University and the LDS Church educational system, 3 different presidents helmed the university. As chair of the UVU Board of Trustees from 2007 to 2009, she played a vital role in the institution's transition to university status, as well as the hiring of our current UVU president, Matthew S. Holland. Many certainly relied on her steady presence as a counterbalance to the turbulence of growth during such a critical era for the university. Though we are particularly grateful for the service and financial support she has rendered to UVU, as evidenced by her selection for the UVU Alumni Association Distinguished Service Award in 2011, we honor Jeanette Hales Beckham's contributions to Utah generally, including her membership on the LDS Church's Olympic Coordinating Committee for the Salt Lake City Winter Olympics. UVU and its surrounding community are truly fortunate to have encountered Mrs. Beckham, whose loyalty is without equal. Therefore, the Board of Trustees of Utah Valley University hereby confers upon Jeanette Hales Beckham the honorary degree of Doctorate of Humane Letters, realized this 25th day of April 2013 in Orem, Utah. Many thanks, Jeanette, for your service and your friendship. Thank you.
Jeanette, we are indeed grateful to count you among our most ardent supporters. We'll now award an honorary doctorate of business to a true legend in the aviation industry. Mr. Neeleman, will you come forward while Trustee Ronald Hawkins presents your honorary degree?
On behalf of the UVU Board of Trustees, I'm pleased to present David G. Neeleman with an honorary doctorate of business. Many of the personal milestones in Mr. Neeleman's career weigh equally as milestones in the history of the aviation industry itself. The successful launch of an independent airline is effectively incomprehensible for all but a few entrepreneurs, yet Mr. Neeleman has 4 to his name, including New York-based JetBlue Airways. Much of his sustained success is owed to countless invention and reinvention, starting with his implementation of the industry's first electronic ticketing system at Morris Air, which he co-founded in 1984 and later became Southwest Airlines. Mr. Neeleman introduced into modern aviation fresh concepts that have since become nearly universal, including the country's first live in-flight television programming via satellite. It makes my travels so much more interesting. In terms of sheer growth, JetBlue became the first airline to earn $100 million annually within 5 years of its founding. For 7 consecutive years, the airline won the Reader's Choice Award from Condé Nast Travelers magazine for the best U.S. airline. Since then, Azul Airlines, which Mr. Neeleman launched in his native Brazil, has boarded an astonishing 20 million passengers from 50 destinations in the first 4 years of its operation. As a dual citizen of the United States and Brazil, he dreamed of offering accessible air travel to his countrymen, many of whom have never before experienced flight. Mr. Neeleman's other noteworthy achievements include launching Canada-based WestJet Airlines and refining the electronic ticketing system that he initiated at Morris Air into the widely adopted open skies reservation system we use today. Indeed, UVU students, faculty, and staff can look to Mr. Neeleman's career as a benchmark for professional excellence and a blueprint for steadfast growth. Therefore, the Board of Trustees of Utah Valley University hereby confers upon David G. Neeleman the honorary degree of Doctorate of Business, realized this 25th day of April 2013 in Orem, Utah. Thank you, David, for your lasting contributions to your industry and sterling example in the world of business.
Congratulations, David. It really is a delight to have you here, a wonderful example to our students of just what can be accomplished from a decisive commitment to professional excellence. We'll now award an honorary doctorate of humane letters to philanthropist Doris Buffett, whose generosity is boundless in supply as well as impact. Doris was unable to attend our ceremony this evening, but has expressed profound gratitude for our friendship and recognition. At this point, I would like to invite Trustee Karen Acerson to come forward and read the honorary doctorate resolution for Doris Buffett.
On behalf of the UVU Board of Trustees, I am honored to present Doris Buffett with an honorary doctorate of humane letters. Ms. Buffett truly serves as a ray of hope to innumerable individuals whose prospects have clouded with distress and disadvantage. The lifelong philanthropist has transformed fortunes of the famed Buffett empire, built by her father Howard and her brother Warren, into a source of aid and opportunity, specifically for beneficiaries stalled in life by poverty and a lack of education. She founded the Sunshine Lady Foundation in 1996 to fund programs that assist, counsel, and educate those who need it most. To this day, the foundation has awarded those with more than $100 million in grants nationally, $2.25 million of which have gone to UVU, including grants through the Women's Independent Scholarship Program. This program is reserved for survivors of domestic violence and has helped hundreds of women at UVU overcome long odds to obtain an education. Another grant funded a trip in which UVU students traveled to Samoa to screen children for rheumatic fever. The ripple effects of Ms. Buffett's generous aid is immeasurable. The apt title of her biography, giving it all away, concisely reflects the humility and inexhaustible generosity through which she has elevated humanity, one person at a time. UVU is deeply indebted to Ms. Buffett for her great-hearted attitude and altruism. Therefore, the Board of Trustees of Utah Valley University hereby confers upon Doris Buffett the honorary degree of Doctorate of Humane Letters, realized this 25th day of April 2013 in Orem, Utah. I am happy to demonstrate our gratitude for Doris Buffett by awarding her this degree. Thank you.
We echo the gratitude Doris has conveyed to us for the friendship we enjoy. Once again, on behalf of the university and the Board of Trustees, we are honored to welcome these outstanding individuals as honorary degree holders at UVU. One more round of applause. And now it is the time for the main and highest purpose of tonight's proceedings, the presentation of student candidates for degrees. First for master's degree students, then for undergraduates. Ian Wilson, Vice President for Academic Affairs, will now join me and present the candidates for graduation.
I invite the candidates for Master of Business Administration, Master of Education, and Master of Science and Nursing degrees to please rise. Candidates, please remain standing as you are joined by the undergraduates. Candidates for Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Science, Associate of Science, Associate of Arts, and Associate of Applied Science degrees, diplomas, and certificates of completion, please stand. President Holland, on behalf of the faculty, I present the candidates for Master, Bachelor, and Associate degrees, diplomas, and certificates. These candidates have completed all requirements for these degrees, diplomas, and certificates, and the faculty has approved their candidacy pursuant to the final completion of all of their requirements. President, I now recommend that the Master, Bachelor, and Associate degrees, diplomas, and certificates be awarded them.
Candidates, you have fulfilled all requirements for the appropriate master's degree, bachelor's degree, associate's degree, diploma, or certificate, and have been recommended by the faculty for graduation. By virtue of the authority vested in the Utah State Board of Regents and delegated by them to me, I hereby confer upon you the appropriate degree, diploma, or certificate. You may now move your tassels from the right to the left side of your mortarboard to indicate your graduation from Utah Valley University. While you graduates are still standing, I think this would be a great opportunity for you to acknowledge your family and friends with a round of applause for all the support and encouragement they have offered you during these times. Please be seated and start paying taxes. Congratulations on a job well done and honors rightly deserved. To all our guests this evening, I want to again extend gratitude for gathering for this singular celebration. I want to again extend, this will be a night to remember fondly for all of these outstanding Wolverines. Graduates, may it also serve as a source of inspiration and direction en route to bright futures and remarkable contributions, which are well within your grasp. In closing, we would ask that the audience please remain seated during the recessional until all the graduates have left the arena floor. Thank you for sharing this important moment with us tonight.